She stood humiliated as her card was declined, whispers spreading through the store. Then the street boy stepped forward, did something no one expected. The millionaire froze, and everyone around fell completely silent. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment where in the world you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. The line at the checkout was long. "Next card?" the young cashier asked, her voice flat. She did not look up from her screen. Eleanor van der Linden placed a solid gold credit card on the counter. The woman behind her in line sighed loudly. It was a cold Tuesday afternoon in New York City, and everyone was in a hurry. The cashier slid the card. A small machine beeped. A bright red word flashed on the screen. "Declined." "It says no," the cashier said. "That is not possible," Eleanor said. Her voice was quiet but firm. "Please try it again." The cashier sighed this time. She slid the card once more. The same red word flashed again. "Still says no," the cashier said. A man's voice came from further back in the line. "Come on, lady. Some of us have places to be." Eleanor's face felt very warm. She opened her purse with hands that did not want to work right. She took out another card, a platinum one. She gave it to the cashier. The cashier slid it. The machine beeped. The red word flashed again. "No," the cashier said, as if announcing the weather. Heat climbed up Eleanor's neck. People were staring now. They looked at her fine wool coat. They looked at the single strand of pearls around her neck. Their looks said she was a fake. Their looks said her nice clothes were a costume. "I do not understand," Eleanor whispered. "You got cash or not?" the cashier asked. Eleanor never carried cash. Her purse held cards, a small notebook, and a photo of her late husband. She felt her heart beat too fast. The shame was a physical thing, a heavy, hot blanket. She had not felt this poor since she was a little girl in Brooklyn. I will have to leave the scarf," Eleanor said. Her words were thick. "Figures," the woman behind her muttered. Just then, a small movement came from near the front of the store. A boy walked up to the counter. He was very thin. His blue jacket was too big. His shoes had holes near the toes. He did not say anything to the people in line. He looked only at the counter. He put down a piece of paper money. It was a $1 bill, wrinkled and soft. Next to it, he placed a small, rectangular card. It was a prepaid phone card. Almost all the minutes were used up. "Use this," the boy said. His voice was low but clear. "Please." The cashier stared. "For a $500 scarf?" "For the tax," the boy said. He looked at Eleanor. "It's for the tax, so she can have it." The whole store went quiet. The sighing stopped. The man who was in a hurry closed his mouth. Eleanor looked from the dirty dollar bill to the phone card. She understood what that card was. It was a lifeline. It was how a child with no home called to beg for a bed for the night. She looked at the boy's face. His hair was messy, but his eyes were green and kind. There was no lie in them. He was not asking for thanks. He was just giving what he had. Eleanor's breath caught. A sharp pain moved through her chest. It was the pain of a door opening after being closed for many, many years. She began to cry. Silent tears rolled down her powdered cheeks. She did not wipe them away. "What is your name?" she asked the boy, her voice shaking. "Bobby. Bobby," she repeated. The word felt solid in her mouth. "Where is your family?" Bobby shrugged his thin shoulders. "Don't got one. It's okay." "It is not okay," Eleanor said. The tears kept coming. She looked at the cashier. "Ring up the scarf. I will pay with this." She pointed to the dollar and the phone card. The cashier, her eyes wide, did as she was told. She put the scarf in a bag. Eleanor took the bag. Then she turned to Bobby. "You will come with me," she said. It was not a question. Bobby looked at her wet face. He looked at her honest eyes. He was so tired. He was so cold. "Where to?" he asked. "To my home, to get warm." Bobby was quiet for a long moment. He looked at the door, leading back to the freezing street. Then he looked back at Eleanor. He gave one small nod. Eleanor took his hand. It was very cold. Together they walked out of the store past all the silent, watching people. She held the bag with the scarf she did not need. He walked beside her, his steps quiet in his broken shoes. She did not let go of his hand. The black town car moved through the crowded streets. Bobby sat very still on the soft leather seat, his hands tucked into the sleeves of his jacket. He watched the tall buildings pass by the window. He had never been in a car like this. Eleanor sat beside him. She had stopped crying, but her face felt tight. She watched the boy. He did not touch anything. He seemed to be holding his breath. "The driver's name is Martin," Eleanor said to break the quiet. Bobby nodded but said nothing. "My home is on the Upper East Side. It is an apartment." "Okay," Bobby whispered. They rode in silence for a few more blocks. Eleanor saw him glance at the minibar set into the car's interior. There were small bottles of water and soda inside. "You may have a drink if you are thirsty," she said. Bobby shook his head. "No, thank you." His voice was polite but firm. He was not going to take anything. The car stopped under a tall building with a green awning. A man in a uniform opened the car door. "Good afternoon, Mrs. van der Linden." "Good afternoon, George." Eleanor stepped out. Bobby followed, his eyes wide. The lobby was huge. The floor was shiny marble. A large glass chandelier hung from the high ceiling. A man sat behind a big desk. "Afternoon, Mrs. V," the man at the desk said. His eyes flicked to Bobby, but his smile stayed the same. "Good afternoon, Raymond." They walked to a set of golden elevator doors. Eleanor pressed a button. The doors opened silently. They stepped inside. It was just the two of them. The elevator began to rise, fast and smooth. Bobby's stomach felt funny. He looked at the numbers lighting up above the door. They went higher and higher. "Do you feel well?" Eleanor asked. "Yes, ma'am," Bobby said, but he closed his eyes for a second. The elevator stopped. The doors opened directly into a hallway with only one door. Eleanor used a key. She pushed the heavy door open. "Come in," she said. Bobby walked in. Then he stopped. The room was bigger than any place he had ever been inside. The ceiling was very high. Big windows showed all of Central Park and the city beyond. Everything was quiet. The only sound was the soft hum of the heat coming from vents in the floor. "You can take off your coat," Eleanor said. Slowly, Bobby unzipped his jacket. He held it in his arms, not sure where to put it. Eleanor gently took it from him and hung it in a closet. "Let us sit," she said. She walked into the large living room and sat on a long, cream-colored sofa. Bobby sat on the very edge of a big chair near her. He sank into the cushions. A woman in a dark dress appeared in a doorway. "Ma'am, shall I prepare some tea?" "Yes, please, Maria, and bring some of the chicken soup from yesterday, and a grilled cheese sandwich." "Right away." Bobby's eyes followed Maria as she left. He looked back at Eleanor. "You have a cook?" "I have staff, people who help me," Eleanor said. She folded her hands in her lap. "Bobby, tell me, where were you going to sleep tonight?" Bobby looked down at his worn-out shoes. He shrugged. "I had a number to call, for a shelter in Queens. That's what the phone card was for. Sometimes they have a bed. And if they did not? Then I find a place, a subway car, a doorway. I know some places." Eleanor's chest felt tight. "How old are you?" 10. "Where is your mother?" "She died when I was little. I don't really remember." "And your father?" Bobby's face closed. It became still and blank. "He's gone. I lived with a foster family for a while. It was bad, so I left." "How long have you been finding places?" 8 months, Bobby said. The number sounded very long. Maria came back with a tray. She set it on a low table. There was a steaming bowl of soup, a golden sandwich, a glass of milk, and a cup of tea for Eleanor. The smell of the food filled the air. "Eat," Eleanor said softly. Bobby looked at the food. He looked at her. He was very hungry. He picked up the spoon. He ate the soup slowly at first, then faster. He did not make a sound. Eleanor sipped her tea and watched him. She saw how his hands were rough. She saw the careful way he held the sandwich, as if it might disappear. When he was done, he sat back. Some color had come into his cheeks. "Thank you," he said. "You're welcome." Eleanor paused. "You gave me your last dollar, your phone card. Why?" Bobby thought about it. He looked at his hands. "You were upset. The people were being mean. It wasn't right. I had it and you needed it, so I gave it." It was that simple to him. Eleanor felt that pain in her chest again. This boy, with nothing, acted with more grace than anyone she knew. She thought of her son, Jason. His last visit was 3 weeks ago. He had talked for 20 minutes about a new business idea. He needed seed money. He had not asked her a single question about her life. "Would you like to stay here tonight, Bobby?" she asked. Her voice was quiet. Bobby's head snapped up. Fear and hope fought in his green eyes. "Stay? Here?" "Yes. In a warm bed. You would be safe." He was silent for a long time. "What do I have to do?" he asked finally. His voice was wary. "You do not have to do anything. You can just be a child. You can sleep." He searched her face, looking for the trick, the catch. He saw none. He gave a small, slow nod. Eleanor stood up. "Come, I will show you the guest room." She led him down a hallway. She opened a door to a room with a big bed, a dresser, and another window. The bathroom was through another door. Everything was clean and soft. "This is for me?" Bobby whispered. "Yes, the bathroom is there. There are new toothbrushes in the cabinet. There are towels." Bobby just stood in the middle of the room, looking lost. "Sleep," Eleanor said. "In the morning we will talk more." She left him there and walked back to her study. She closed the door. She sat at her big empty desk and looked at a portrait of her husband Arthur. His kind eyes looked back at her. She thought of Bobby's honest face. She thought of Jason's greedy smile. A clear, hard feeling settled inside her. It was a decision. She picked up her phone. She dialed a number she knew by heart. A man's voice answered after 2 rings. "Law office of Charles Miller." "Charles, it is Eleanor." "Eleanor, a pleasure. What can I do for you?" "I need you to come to my apartment first thing in the morning. I wish to make a change to my will." "Of course. Is everything all right?" "Everything," Eleanor said, looking toward the hallway where the boy now slept, "is finally clear. I will explain in the morning." She hung up the phone. The silence of the apartment felt different now. It was no longer empty. It was peaceful. The papers were signed. Charles Miller placed them carefully into his briefcase. He gave Eleanor a long, careful look. "You are sure about this, Eleanor? This is a monumental shift." "I have never been more sure of anything in my life, Charles," Eleanor said. Her hands were steady on her desk. 3 weeks later, the call came to Jason van der Linden's office. It was his mother's lawyer. "Jason, Charles Miller here. We need to talk. It's about your mother's estate planning." Jason leaned back in his leather chair. "Again? She just tweaked things last year. Tell her to stop worrying. The family trust is solid." "This is not a tweak," Charles said. His voice was very serious. "You and Clarissa should come to my office this afternoon, at 4 o'clock. A cold feeling settled in Jason's stomach. "What has she done?" "I can only discuss the details in person. 4 o'clock. That afternoon, in the lawyer's wood-paneled office, Jason and Clarissa heard the words. They sat on one side of a large table. Charles sat on the other. "Your mother has executed a new will," Charles began. "The majority of her estate, including controlling interest in van der Linden Holdings, is to be held in trust for a minor named Robert Ellis, known as Bobby. Upon her passing, he will inherit." Jason stared. He laughed, a short, harsh sound. "Bobby? Who the hell is Bobby? A charity? A museum?" "He is a 10-year-old boy," Charles said. The room was silent. Clarissa's hand, which had been resting on Jason's arm, tightened into a claw. "A boy," Jason repeated. "What boy?" "She met him recently. She has taken him into her home. She has named him her primary heir. You, Jason, are to receive a monthly allowance for the rest of your life. It is a generous sum, but it is a fixed income. You will not control the company. You will not control the capital." Jason stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. "This is insane. She's lost her mind. Who is this child? Where did he come from?" "I am not at liberty to discuss his background. I can only relay the terms." "This is a joke," Jason said, his voice rising. "She can't do this." "She is of sound mind and she certainly can," Charles said calmly. "I was there. She was very clear." Clarissa found her voice. It was high and sharp. "A street child? Is that it? She picked up some street child and is giving him our future?" She said "our," as if it were a fact. "I suggest you speak with your mother," Charles said. "My role is to execute her wishes." They did not go to see Eleanor. They stormed out. They went straight to her apartment. Eleanor was in the library showing Bobby a large book of maps. Bobby was wearing clean new clothes that were still too big for him. Jason and Clarissa walked in without waiting for Maria to announce them. "Mother, we just saw Charles," Jason said. His face was red. Eleanor closed the map book slowly. "Bobby, would you please go to the kitchen? Ask Maria for some apple juice." Bobby looked at the angry adults. He slid off his chair and walked out of the room, quiet as a shadow. "How could you?" Jason spat the words. "How could you do this to your own family? To me? I did it because you are my family," Eleanor said. She remained seated, her back straight. "And you have shown me what you value. It is not me, it is the money." "That is not true," Clarissa said. "We care about you. We care about the family legacy. This boy is a stranger. He is using you." "He gave me his last dollar," Eleanor said, her voice low and fierce. "What have you ever given me, Jason, that did not come with a request for more?" Jason leaned on the desk, putting his face close to hers. "You are not thinking clearly. You are 80 years old. You are lonely and confused, and this little thief has manipulated you." Eleanor did not flinch. "Get out of my home." "You need to see a doctor," Jason insisted. "We will get doctors to confirm you are not competent. This will not stand." "Get out." Eleanor's pale blue eyes were like ice. "Now, or I will have George remove you." Clarissa pulled on Jason's arm. "Jason, come. We are not welcome here." Jason straightened his suit jacket. He pointed a finger at his mother. "This is not over. We will fight this. You are throwing away your family for garbage you found on the street." They left. The grand apartment was quiet again. Eleanor's hands were trembling. She pressed them flat on the desk. In the kitchen, Bobby stood by the counter, holding a glass of juice. He had heard the shouting. He looked at Eleanor when she walked in. "They're mad because of me," he said. "They are mad because of themselves," Eleanor corrected. She put a hand on his shoulder. "This is not your fault." Bobby looked down. "I don't want your money, Miss Eleanor. I just want it to be warm." "I know," she said, and she did. Across town, Jason poured 2 glasses of whiskey. His hands shook. Clarissa paced the floor of their living room. "We have to stop this," she said. "We have to get that will thrown out." "We will," Jason said, gulping the drink. "We'll say she's senile. We'll say the boy is a con artist. We'll get the best lawyers. We'll make him look like a criminal." He picked up his phone. He scrolled through his contacts until he found the number for a law firm known for ruthless, high-stakes cases. He pressed the call button. The lawyers Jason hired were named Dervish and Stone. They had an office on Park Avenue. A week after their meeting with Eleanor, Jason and Clarissa sat in their conference room. "We need public opinion on our side," Mr. Stone said. He was a man with very small, sharp eyes. "A court case is also a story. We need to tell our story first." "What do you mean?" Clarissa asked. "We mean the newspapers," Mr. Dervish said. He slid a business card across the table. "This reporter at the New York Sentinel. Her name is Lisa Bloom. She covers high society drama. She would be very interested in your story." Jason picked up the card. "And say what?" "Say your elderly mother is being manipulated," Stone said simply. "Say a homeless child has cunningly worked his way into her home and her bank account. Say you are the devoted son fighting to protect her and the family legacy from a fraud." A slow smile spread across Jason's face. "Yes, that's exactly what's happening." "We will set up the interview," Dervish said. 2 days later, the story appeared. It was on the front page of the Sentinel's lifestyle section. The headline was big and bold. "Heir to a fortune, street kid wins over reclusive billionaire widow. Son claims elder abuse." A large photo showed Eleanor, taken years ago at a charity gala, looking stern. Next to it was a blurry, distant picture of Bobby walking into her building, his head down. Jason and Clarissa gave the interview from their penthouse. The article quoted Jason at length. "My mother is a brilliant woman, but she is 80 years old and very lonely," Jason was quoted saying. "This boy appeared out of nowhere. He saw an opportunity. He has preyed on her soft heart. We are heartbroken. We are taking legal action to protect her." Clarissa's quote focused on the social aspect. "It's a tragedy. Our family built this city. Now some random child could undo all that hard work. It's not about the money. It's about principle." The article did not quote Eleanor. It did not quote Bobby. It presented Jason's story as fact. Aleron saw the paper when Maria brought it in with her breakfast tray. Maria's hands were shaking. "I am sorry, Mrs. van der Linden. It is everywhere." Eleanor read the headline. She read her son's words. A deep, cold anger settled in her bones. She folded the paper neatly and set it aside. "Where is Bobby?" she asked. "In his room, ma'am." Eleanor walked down the hall. Bobby's door was open. He was sitting on the floor, fully dressed, tying his old shoes. His small backpack was beside him. "What are you doing?" Eleanor asked, though she knew. "I should go," Bobby said without looking up. His voice was flat. "That paper. The doorman showed me. They're saying bad things about you because of me. If I leave, they'll stop." "No, they will not," Eleanor said. She came in and sat on the edge of the bed. "They will say they drove you away, and that proves their point. And more importantly, you have nowhere to go. I'll manage. Look at me, Bobby." He slowly raised his head. His eyes were scared. "Did you manipulate me?" Eleanor asked. "No." "Did you ask me for money?" "No." "Do you want my company?" "I don't even know what it is," he whispered. "Then the story is a lie," she said firmly. "We know the truth. That is what matters. Now untie those shoes. You are not leaving." Bobby stared at her. Slowly, he pulled at the laces. Later that afternoon, Eleanor needed to go to the pharmacy. She decided Bobby should get some air. They walked out of the building together. People on the sidewalk stared. A woman pointed and whispered to her friend. A man walking his dog looked at Bobby's new coat and sneered, shaking his head. Bobby moved closer to Eleanor, his shoulders hunched. "Head up," Eleanor said quietly. "Look straight ahead. Do not give them the satisfaction." At the pharmacy, the cashier, a young man, looked from Eleanor to the tabloid newspaper by his register. His smile was fake. "That'll be $12.50. As Eleanor paid, the cashier said too loudly, "Crazy world, huh? You never know who you can trust." Eleanor took her bag. She looked directly into the cashier's eyes. She said nothing. Her look was so cold the young man flushed and looked away. Walking back, the whispers felt louder. Bobby's hand found hers and held on tight. It was the first time he had initiated contact. His hand was small and warm in her cool one. Once they were back in the quiet elevator, Bobby let go. He leaned against the wall. "I hate it," he said, his voice thick. "I hate it too," Eleanor admitted. "But we will not hide forever. This is our home. We will just be more selective about when we go out." That evening, they ate dinner in the breakfast nook, a small sunny room away from the big windows. It felt safer. Eleanor told Bobby about her husband Arthur and how they started their company with a small loan. Bobby listened, asking a few questions. He told her about a stray dog he used to feed in Queens. The outside world was loud and angry. But inside the apartment, a different space was growing. It was quiet. It was built on $1, a phone card, and the simple need to be kind. It was fragile, but it was real. The breakfast nook became their favorite room. The big windows in the living room felt too exposed now, but the nook was small and sunny. It felt like a secret hideaway. One morning, after pancakes, Eleanor looked at Bobby. "Do you like to read?" Bobby shrugged. "I can read. School was okay sometimes." "Come with me," she said. She led him to a pair of tall wooden doors. She pushed them open. Bobby's mouth fell open. It was a library. The walls were covered with books from the floor to the high ceiling. A rolling ladder was attached to one wall. There were big, comfortable chairs and a large globe on a stand. "Whoa," Bobby breathed. "This was my husband's favorite room," Eleanor said. She walked to a shelf. "What do you want to learn about?" Bobby walked slowly. His head tilted back to see the tops of the shelves. "I don't know. What's in all of them?" "History, science, poetry, stories from all over the world." She pulled out a large book with bright pictures. "This is about ancient Egypt, the pyramids, the pharaohs." They sat in two big chairs by the window. Eleanor opened the book. She began to explain the pictures. Bobby listened, his eyes wide. He pointed to a drawing of a mummy. Why did they do that? They believed in an afterlife. They thought they needed to preserve the body for the next world. "That's weird," Bobby said. Then he thought about it. "But kind of smart, I guess," Eleanor smiled. "It is both." Later, Bobby explored the shelves himself. He found a big atlas, a book of maps. He brought it to the table and opened it. "Show me where you grew up," he said. Eleanor showed him Brooklyn. Then she pointed to a spot in Ohio. "Your father is from around here, you said?" Bobby's finger traced the outline of the state. "Yeah, I don't really remember it." He quickly turned the page. "Show me where Egypt is." They spent hours in the library. Eleanor showed him art books with paintings by Van Gogh and Monet. Bobby liked the ones with bright colors and starry nights. A few days later, it was Bobby's turn. "We should go out," he said. Eleanor looked up from her newspaper. The legal documents from Dervish and Stone had arrived that morning. The reporters might be outside. "Not around here," Bobby said. "We can go somewhere else, somewhere busy. They won't find us." He was right. They took the town car, but got out a few blocks from Central Park. They walked into the park together. The air was cool, but the sun was out. "Where are we going?" Eleanor asked. "You'll see." He led her to a cart with a big umbrella. A man was selling hot dogs and pretzels. The smell made Eleanor's stomach growl. She realized she had not eaten food from a cart since Arthur was alive. "Two, please," Bobby said. He pulled a $20 bill from his pocket, money Eleanor had given him for small things. They got their hot dogs with ketchup and mustard. They found an empty bench. Eleanor sat carefully, holding the food in its wrapper. "You eat it like this," Bobby said, taking a big bite. Eleanor took a small bite. It was messy and warm and surprisingly good. She took another bite. "Good, right?" Bobby said, smiling. It was a real smile, one that reached his eyes. "Yes," Eleanor said, wiping a bit of mustard from her chin. "It is very good." They ate in silence, watching people walk by. No one looked at them twice. They were just a woman and a boy eating hot dogs in the park. That night, they watched an old movie on the television. It was a comedy about a dog. Eleanor found herself laughing at the silly jokes. Bobby laughed so hard he snorted, then looked embarrassed. Eleanor just laughed more. When Bobby went to bed, he stopped at the door to the library. "Miss Eleanor?" "Yes, Bobby?" "Thank you for today and for the books. You are very welcome." After he went to his room, Eleanor sat in the quiet living room. She thought about Jason's last visit, full of anger. She thought about Bobby's laugh. The papers from the lawyers were on her desk. The court date was coming. But here, in this moment, the apartment was not a fortress. It was a home. She was not just a billionaire. She was someone who got mustard on her chin and learned about pyramids from a 10-year-old boy. She touched her wedding ring, a habit when she was thoughtful. "He would have liked you, Arthur," she whispered to the empty room. She was sure of it. Jason van der Linden's office was dark except for the light from his computer screen. The legal papers were not moving fast enough. His lawyers said these things took time. Jason did not like to wait. "We need more," he said to Clarissa over the phone. "The confused old lady argument is good, but if we can prove the kid is trouble, it's over. A judge won't give a fortune to a delinquent." "How do we prove that?" Clarissa asked. "We dig into his past, the foster homes, the streets. Kids don't survive out there by being angels." Jason scrolled through his contacts. "I know a guy." The guy's name was Milo. He was a private investigator. He worked for people who needed information and did not ask how he got it. They met at a quiet bar in Midtown. Milo was a large man in a brown jacket. He did not smile. "What do you need, Mr. van der Linden?" "There's a boy, 10 years old. Name is Bobby Ellis. He was in the foster system in Queens. Then he was on the street. Now he's living with my mother." "I read the article," Milo said, his voice flat. "I want you to find everything about him. Talk to his old foster families. Talk to anyone who knew him on the street. I want to know if he stole, if he fought, if he has a record, any bad thing he ever did, any bad person he is connected to." Milo took a small notebook from his pocket. "And if I find nothing?" "Everyone has something," Jason said. He slid an envelope across the table. "That's $5,000 as a retainer. Find the something." For 2 weeks, Milo asked questions. He visited 3 different foster homes in Queens. He talked to tired social workers with too many cases. He walked the streets where Bobby used to sleep. He met a woman named Darlene who ran a soup kitchen. "Bobby?" Quiet kid, polite. Always said please and thank you. He'd help wipe tables if you let him. Never saw him cause trouble. He found the foster father from the home Bobby ran away from. The man, named Ed, was angry. That kid was a sneak, never talked, just watched you all the time. Stole food from the cupboard, I'm sure of it. Glad he's gone. Milo wrote it down. Sneak. Stole food. It was something, but it was weak. A family court judge might see a hungry child, not a criminal. Milo checked police records. There were none. Bobby Ellis had never been arrested. He checked hospital records. A few visits for minor things, a bad cold, a sprained wrist from falling off a bike years ago. Nothing showed a violent or troubled child. Milo called Jason. I'm not finding what you want. The boy is clean. People say he's quiet. He was hungry. He ran away from one bad situation. That's it. Jason's voice was tight with frustration. That can't be all. What about family? The article said his mother is dead. What about the father? I'm still looking. The file says paternal whereabouts unknown. The father lost custody years ago. Find him, Jason said. If the father is a drug addict or in prison, that's something. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Find the tree. Milo went back to work. He tracked down an old address for Bobby's father in Ohio. He made calls. He found a former neighbor. Hank Ellis? Yeah, I heard he moved to Dayton. Drove trucks. Fell apart after his wife died. Real bad shape for a while. Don't know about now. Milo searched employment records for trucking companies in Dayton. He found a Hank Ellis at a company called Midwest Freight. The man had been employed there for almost 2 years. His record was clean. No police record in Ohio either. But Milo had a job to do. He called the main number for Midwest Freight. He pretended to be from an insurance company doing a routine check. I just need to confirm Hank Ellis is a current employee, Milo said. The woman on the phone was helpful. Yes, sir. He's on a long haul right now. Due back the day after tomorrow. Milo had a name, a workplace, and a city. It was not evidence of a bad man. In fact, it sounded like a man who had gotten his life together. But Jason did not want a good man. He wanted a bad one. Milo knew what he had to report. He could frame it the right way. Father with a history of addiction and loss of custody. Let Jason draw his own conclusions. He typed up his final report. He highlighted the father's past problems. He included the address of the trucking company in Dayton, Ohio. He wrote that Hank Ellis was the only living parent and his current whereabouts were confirmed. He sent the report to Jason. He included his final invoice. His job was to find information, not to judge how it was used. Jason read the report in his office. A slow smile spread across his face. He picked up the phone and called his lawyer, Mr. Stone. We found him, Jason said. We found the father. He's in Ohio. He lost custody because he was a drunk. This is perfect. The boy has a real family, a troubled one. We can use this. 2 days after getting Milo's report, a man got off a bus at the Port Authority terminal in New York. He carried a small, old duffel bag. He looked up at the tall buildings, his face tired. He had driven for 18 hours straight after getting back to Ohio, then taken the bus the rest of the way. His name was Hank Ellis. He had the address of a very fancy building on the Upper East Side written on a piece of paper in his pocket. He stood across the street from the building for a long time. He watched people in expensive coats come and go. A doorman in a uniform greeted them. Hank looked down at his own clothes, clean work jeans, a flannel shirt, a worn jacket. He felt like he did not belong on this street, but he had come this far. He crossed the street. The doorman, George, saw him approaching. George's polite smile became careful. Can I help you, sir? I'm looking for an Eleanor van der Linden, Hank said. His voice was rough from the long trip. Do you have an appointment? No, sir, I don't. It's about the boy living with her. Bobby. He's my son. George's expression did not change, but his eyes became more alert. The story was all over the papers. Your name? Hank Ellis. Wait here, please. George went inside to the front desk. He spoke quietly to Raymond. Raymond picked up a phone. Upstairs, the phone rang in the kitchen. Maria answered. Her eyes went wide. She hurried to the library. Eleanor was reading. Bobby was working on a puzzle on the floor. Ma'am, Maria said, her voice low. The front desk. There is a man downstairs. He says he is Bobby's father. His name is Hank Ellis. The puzzle piece in Bobby's hand clattered onto the table. His face went pale. Eleanor's heart jumped. She stood up slowly. Are you certain? That is what he told the doorman. Eleanor looked at Bobby. He was frozen, staring at nothing. Bobby. He found me, Bobby whispered. It didn't sound happy. It sounded like fear. "Do you want to see him?" Eleanor asked. Bobby did not answer. He just hunched his shoulders. Eleanor turned to Maria. "Tell them to send him up." "Ma'am, is that safe?" "Send him up," Eleanor repeated, her voice firm. A few minutes later, the elevator door opened in the private hallway. Hank Ellis stepped out. He stopped, looking at the single large door. He had never seen a home that was an entire floor. Eleanor opened the door before he could knock. She stood in the doorway, blocking his view inside. She looked him up and down. He was a big man, but he seemed to be trying to make himself smaller. He held a worn hat in his hands. "Mr. Ellis?" "Yes, ma'am." "Mrs. van der Linden?" His eyes were brown and very tired. "I am." "You say you are Bobby's father?" "I am." He pulled a worn wallet from his back pocket. He took out a small, faded photo. It showed a younger, happier Hank with a little boy on his shoulders. The boy was Bobby, about 4 years old, laughing. There was no doubt. Eleanor looked from the photo to the man's face. She saw the same kind eyes, now full of worry. She stepped back. "Come in." Hank walked into the apartment. He tried not to stare at the size of it, the high ceilings. Then he saw Bobby, standing by the library door. The air went out of Hank's lungs. Bobby did not run. He tried not to stare at the size of it, the high ceilings. Then he saw Bobby standing by the library door. The air went out of Hank's lungs. Bobby did not run to him. He did not smile. He stood very still. "Hi, Dad." "You're so tall," Hank said, his voice cracked. "I mean, you've grown." Eleanor watched them. She saw the longing on Hank's face. She saw the confusion and fear on Bobby's. "Sit down, Mr. Ellis, please." Hank sat on the edge of a chair. He kept his eyes on his son. "I've been looking for you. For a real long time. The system. They lost track of you after you ran. I got clean, Bobby. I got a steady job. I've been trying to find you every day." Bobby looked at the floor. "You let them take me." The words hung in the quiet room. Hank flinched. "I know I did. I was in a real bad way after your mom died. I wasn't any good to anyone, especially not to you. I'm so sorry, son. That's all I can say." Eleanor listened. This was not a monster. This was a broken man who had put himself back together. "Why are you here now?" Eleanor asked. Her tone was not unkind, but it was direct. Hank finally looked away from Bobby. "A man found me, a private investigator. He said my boy was here, that he was involved in some big legal trouble with a rich family. Dead." Hank looked at the two of them, the small, elegant old woman and his son, standing close to her like she was a safe harbor. He saw the color in Bobby's cheeks. Dead. Hank looked at the two of them, the small, elegant old woman and his son, standing close to her like she was a safe harbor. He saw the color in Bobby's cheeks. He saw the clean clothes. He saw no fear in his son's eyes when he looked at her. He nodded slowly. A sad understanding settled on his face. "You look okay," he said, his voice thick. "You look real good." He had found his son, but his son had already found something else. Hank stayed for dinner. It was a quiet meal. Bobby answered his father's questions with short, careful words. Yes, he was going to a tutor here in the building. No, he didn't miss Ohio. Yes, he liked the library. Afterwards, Eleanor spoke to Hank alone in the study. "You are welcome to stay in a guest room tonight," she said. "It is late." Hank shook his head. "Thank you, ma'am, but I got a room at a budget motel near the bus station, paid for the week." "I see." "Mrs. van der Linden," Hank said, turning his hat in his hands. "I just want you to know, I'm not here to take him, not if he's safe and happy here. I lost that right a long time ago. Eleanor studied him, hired him. He wants to use you." "Use me how?" "To prove Bobby has a family, to take him away from me, to break my will." Hank was silent for a moment. "I won't do that." "He may try to persuade you," Eleanor said. The next morning, Hank's motel room phone rang. The man at the front desk said, "Mr. Ellis, you have a visitor in the lobby, a Mr. Jason van der Linden." Hank's stomach tightened. He walked down to the small, shabby lobby. Jason stood near the worn-out sofa, looking wildly out of place in his expensive overcoat. He offered a smooth smile. "Mr. Ellis, Jason van der Linden, Eleanor's son." "I know who you are," Hank said. He did not offer his hand. "Can we talk?" Somewhere more comfortable? My car's outside. They sat in the back of Jason's town car. The driver closed the partition, giving them privacy. I'll get right to the point, Jason said. This situation with my mother is a tragedy. She's not well. This boy has confused her. But you're his real father. You have a claim. What's your point? Hank asked, looking straight ahead. My point is, we can help each other. The court hearing is soon. If you were to step forward and say you want your son back, that you're a fit parent now, it changes everything. The judge would see Bobby has a family. My mother's will would look even more unstable. Hank turned to look at him. And then you get the money. And then, Jason said, his smile widening, I can ensure you are generously compensated for your cooperation. You could give Bobby a very comfortable life back in Ohio, a new house, a college fund, no more truck driving, all his problems solved. Hank felt a slow, hot anger build in his chest. You want to buy my son? I want to see him return to his rightful family, Jason corrected, his tone slick. And I'm willing to pay for it. Everyone wins. You get your son and financial security. I get my mother's company saved from a stranger. Bobby gets his real father. Hank thought about the clean, quiet apartment. He thought about Eleanor's sharp but kind eyes. He thought about the way Bobby had stood next to her chair, a place of safety. I saw him yesterday, Hank said, his voice low. He's not just comfortable. He's safe. He's cared for. He's got light in his eyes I haven't seen since his mother was alive. You want me to rip him out of that for a paycheck? Jason's smile vanished. She is an old woman. She will die. Then what? He's alone with a fortune he can't handle. With me, he has a future with his blood. His future looks pretty good with her, Hank said. And from what I read, you weren't much for family until the money was on the line. Jason's face turned red. You're making a mistake. This is the only offer you'll get. Hank reached for the car door handle. I already made my mistake, years ago. I'm not making another one by using my boy as a bargaining chip. He opened the door and stepped out onto the curb. He leaned back in. You tell your lawyers whatever you want. I'm going to tell the judge the truth, that my son is finally where he needs to be. He slammed the door and walked back toward his motel, not looking back. Jason stared after him, his hands clenched into fists. The plan had failed. The father was not the pawn he had hoped for. Now, he had nothing but his original shaky claim, and a court date that was coming too soon. The courtroom was very quiet. It was a large room with wood panels and high windows. Eleanor sat at one table with her lawyer, Charles Miller. Bobby sat beside her, wearing a new navy blue suit. He counted his steps silently in his head, his lips moving just a little. 4 steps from the door to the chair. 4 steps. At the other table sat Jason and Clarissa with their lawyers, Mr. Dervish and Mr. Stone. Jason kept twisting the heavy ring on his finger. Clarissa sat perfectly still, her back straight. The judge was a woman with gray hair and glasses. Her name was Judge Rivera. She looked at her papers. We are here, Judge Rivera began, for the matter of the estate of Eleanor van der Linden. Mr. Stone, you may begin. Mr. Stone stood up. Thank you, Your Honor. This is a simple but tragic case. My client, Mrs. van der Linden's only son, is here out of love and concern. His mother, at 80 years of age, is suffering from a decline in her mental abilities. She is isolated, she is vulnerable. She was targeted by a clever stranger, a street child, who saw an opportunity and manipulated her emotions. The result is a will that disinherits her own flesh and blood in favor of that stranger. We have doctors who will testify to her growing confusion. Charles Miller stood next. Your Honor, my client is as sharp as she was 20 years ago. She made a conscious, deliberate choice. She has the right to leave her property to anyone she wishes. Her choice was an act of gratitude and love. It is not the court's role to decide who is more deserving of her affection. The morning went on. Lawyers talked, papers were presented. Jason's doctors spoke in careful terms about potential susceptibility and isolation. Eleanor's doctor said she was perfectly sound of mind. Then Charles Miller said, Your Honor, we would like to call Hank Ellis to the stand. A murmur went through the few people in the courtroom. Jason's head snapped up. Hank walked to the front of the room. He promised to tell the truth. He sat in the witness chair. Mr. Ellis, Charles began, please state your relationship to Bobby Ellis. I'm his father. And how long has it been since you last saw your son before this month? 5 years, Hank said. His voice was low but clear. I lost custody. I had problems. I wasn't a good father. Why are you here now? A man found me, an investigator. He said my son was here, involved in a court case. I came to see if Bobby was okay. And is he okay? Hank looked directly at Bobby. He saw the nice suit, the clean hair. He saw the way the boy was looking back at him, not with fear anymore, but with a quiet hope. He's more than okay, Hank said, his voice growing stronger. He's safe. He's got a home. He's got someone who cares for him, for real, not because she has to, because she wants to. Mr. Stone stood up for his turn. Mr. Ellis, isn't it true you want your son back, that you, his biological father, are the rightful person to care for him? Hank took a deep breath. I wanted to find him. I wanted to know he was alive. Now I know he's not just alive, he's thriving. If I tried to take him now, after all he's been through, it wouldn't be for him. It would be for me, and that ain't good enough. He's where he belongs. Jason looked down at the table, his jaw tight. Finally, Judge Rivera spoke. Mrs. van der Linden, I understand you wish to address the court. Eleanor stood up. She was small, but she held herself tall. She looked at the judge, then at her son, then at Bobby. Your Honor, she began. My husband Arthur and I came from nothing. We built a life with our hands. We valued hard work. We valued kindness. When Arthur died, the money felt very loud. It drowned out everything else. She turned to look at Jason. Her eyes were sad. My son only heard the money. He stopped hearing me a long time ago. Then, on a cold day, a boy who had nothing showed me more kindness than I had seen in years. He gave me his last dollar, not for a thank you, not for a reward, just because it was the right thing to do. She looked at Bobby, and her face softened. Bobby has that same spirit my Arthur had. A good heart, a strong spirit. That is why I chose him. Not because I am confused, because I am finally clear. Family is not just blood. It is a choice you make every day to love, to protect, to do what is right. I choose Bobby. She sat down. The room was silent. Judge Rivera looked at all the papers. She looked at Jason and Clarissa. She looked at Hank. She looked at Eleanor and Bobby, sitting side by side. This court's role is not to judge the heart, Judge Rivera said slowly. It is to judge the law. The law is clear. Mrs. Eleanor van der Linden is of sound mind. She has the legal right to dispose of her property as she sees fit. The will is valid and shall stand. She banged her gavel once. Case dismissed. The sound was like a door slamming shut. Jason's shoulders slumped. Clarissa made a small choked sound. It was over. On the other side of the room, Bobby let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Eleanor placed her cool hand over his. Hank walked over to them, a tentative smile on his tired face. No one said anything. They didn't need to. The apartment was quiet, but it was a different quiet. It was not the quiet of loneliness anymore. It was the quiet of peace. Eleanor, Bobby, and Hank sat in the breakfast nook. Sunlight came through the window. They were eating scrambled eggs and toast. What happens now? Bobby asked. He looked at his father, then at Eleanor. Now, Eleanor said, we decide what happens next. Together. Hank nodded. I got a job to get back to in Ohio, but I got some vacation time saved. Maybe I could stay a week or so, if that's all right. We would like that, Eleanor said, and she meant it. She saw how Bobby's eyes lit up when Hank was near. Later that morning, Charles Miller came to the apartment. He brought the official court papers. It's done, Eleanor. The will stands. Jason's monthly allowance is set up. He cannot contest it again. Thank you, Charles. After he left, Eleanor went to the library. Bobby and Hank were there. Bobby was showing Hank the book about Egypt. Eleanor stood in the doorway. I have been thinking, she said. The money. It is just a tool. It can build buildings. It can buy companies. But it should build more than that. Bobby looked up. What do you mean? That dollar you gave me. It was a tool too. A very small one, but it built this. She gestured to the three of them. I want to use the big tool to do what the small one did. Help someone who has nothing. Hank put a big hand on Bobby's shoulder. That's a fine idea. I want to start a foundation, Eleanor said. The plan had been forming in her mind since the courtroom. We will call it the $1 Foundation. We will use the money to build safe places for children who have no home. Places with warm beds and good food and people who help. Not big, scary shelters. Small, safe houses. Bobby's face was serious. Like the one in Queens that never had a bed? Yes, but better. And we will help families too. We will help fathers who are trying to get back on their feet. She looked at Hank. Hank's eyes were bright. That's something real. I do not want to just write a check, Eleanor said. I want us to do it. You and me and Hank. We will find the people who know how to build. We will find the people who know how to help. We will make sure it is done right. Bobby stood up. Can I help? Really help? You are the most important part, Eleanor said. You will tell us what children need. You will help design the rooms. You will make sure they are not scary. For the next few weeks they worked. Lawyers set up the foundation. Architects brought plans to the apartment. Bobby would look at the drawings of bedrooms. They need a lamp by the bed, he said one day. So it's not dark, and locks on the inside of the doors, so they feel safe. The architect, a woman named Susan, nodded and wrote it down. Good ideas, Bobby. Hank used his hands. He helped fix a loose step on the library ladder. He showed Bobby how to use a screwdriver. He talked to Eleanor about practical things, what kind of kitchens would last, what kind of furniture could take wear and tear. One afternoon, Jason's first monthly allowance was deposited. He sent one text message to Eleanor. It said, "You have made your choice. Do not contact us again." Eleanor showed the message to no one. She deleted it. She felt a small pain, but it was a clean pain, like removing a splinter. The first $1 house was planned for Brooklyn, not far from where Eleanor grew up. On the day of the groundbreaking, the three of them stood together. Eleanor held a shiny shovel. Reporters were there, but they kept their distance. Eleanor did not give a big speech. She simply said, "This is for the next child who needs a safe place, and the one after that." They pushed the shovel into the dirt together. That evening, back at the apartment, Hank made dinner. It was simple food, spaghetti and meatballs. They ate in the kitchen, laughing because Hank had gotten sauce on his shirt. "I should head back to Ohio next week," Hank said after dinner. "My job's been real patient, but I gotta get back on the road." Bobby's smile faded a little. "Oh. But," Hank said quickly, "I was thinking. The company has a route that comes through New York every other week. I could switch to that run, be here regular, if that's okay with everyone." Eleanor looked at Bobby's hopeful face. "It is more than okay," she said. "We will have a room ready for you, always." Bobby's smile came back, bigger than before. Later, Bobby went to bed. Hank and Eleanor sat in the living room, looking at the lights of the city. "Thank you," Hank said, "for seeing the good in him, for seeing the good in me." "He is easy to love," Eleanor said. "And you are his father. That makes you family." The word hung in the air. Family. It was not a word about blood. It was a word about a boy giving his last dollar. It was a word about a man saying no to a bribe. It was a word about an old woman learning to laugh again. It was a choice, made new every day. In his room, Bobby got into his warm bed. He did not count his steps. He just closed his eyes and listened to the quiet, safe sounds of the apartment. He was home.